He's motherfucking. He's something funny. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking, coming to you with another video review. It is a rather sunny, as you might see, morning in Minnesota on this weekend, and I'm just taking this chance, as the rest of the family is busy doing whatever it is they're doing, to tell you about a game that is going to be on Kickstarter very briefly, like in a few days or so. The game name is called Hoyuk, or it's H-O-Y-U-K. You've probably seen the picture of the game box or whatever before you clicked on the video here. Hoyuk is a game that's being published by Mage Company in Europe, and I did a review of one of their games earlier, and they asked me if I'd be willing to do a preview of this one, and I read about the game, and it seemed really interesting, and it kind of clicked on a few things that I really like when it comes to an area control type game, and so I was really excited to give it a try, and I dig the theme too, because it's like really prehistory villages, prehistory culture, that kind of thing. And it's kind of a loosely based theme. Obviously, it's a Euro game, and you could have like really done whatever you wanted with the mechanics and placed the theme on top. But I've always liked the game Stone Age, because I liked that idea of the game, and this is kind of like a city building game, which is a game that I really like, a type of game that I really like. And also, like I said, it's got that area control and it's got that kind of seesaw action going on. And I was really interested in checking this one out. And this game did not disappoint. I had a lot of fun playing it with my wife. My wife is really getting into the board games now, which is pretty cool. She doesn't play them tons, but she definitely plays them more often than she used to. But I also played it with like my gaming group as well, and we gave it a good thorough spin. So I'm not going to talk too much exactly why I've been digging on the game. That's for the conclusion. But what I'm going to tell you is that, as always, because I'm showing you a prototype, a lot of the stuff that I have is not going to be evident in the final published version of the game. I have a lot of paper counters. I print and play files that I cut and then printed off. Like the game board you see is going to be fairly indicative of how the game board is going to look, but like I don't have any cardboard pieces, I don't have any wooden pieces really, so like the stuff that I'm using paper for is going to be represented by wooden meeple-esque type chits and what have you. Also, what I'm going to show you when I show you how to play the game, I'm going to show you the basic level of the game. I'm not going to go into some of the medium or heavier versions of the game. I just want to give you that kind of groundwork so you can have an idea about how Hoyuk plays. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm probably not, though. I rarely do. So, alright, well, all that being said, if you just want to bear with me, I'll go ahead and I'll show you how to play the game, and then after that we'll come back and I'll talk about what I liked about the game, and as always, hopefully somewhere along the way you will figure out if this is a game you want to add to your collection. Alright, let's do this. Alright everybody, this is the game board for Hoyuk. This is the area where you're going to be building up your different villages and huts and what have you. The ubiquitous scoring track that goes around the board is also not only a scoring track, but also tells you, inhibits, like, you can't build anything outside of that border. Pretty obvious, actually. This is a game where each player on their turn, what they'll be doing is they'll be building these huts, just like this. Now these are like these little pieces of paper that I printed off. This is like more or less a print and play version of the game. So just kind of bear with me as far as that's concerned. But when the final game comes out, I know these will be like nice pieces of cardboard. I know that the little paper pieces that I have that represent the shrines and the ovens will be really nice wooden pieces as well. Villagers and things like that, and this is the basic version, as I said, of the game that I'm going to show you. But the expanded with when you get like to the shaman and the villagers and things like that, really nice looking wooden bits, and the gameplay of the game will really pop as far as the looks of it. this board here, I know, like, you can see there's these little squares. Those are where these buildings will be placed, like that, to place them into different areas. You'll notice that there's all these things like these streams and these trees and rocks and what have you. That's just dressing. It doesn't, you can build your things right on the stream or even the lake up here and things like that. There's nothing that prevents you from doing that. So just, it looks really nice, but don't worry about as far as the gameplay effects, if you will. Really simply, I'm going to kind of just show you a turn or so of a one-player game. When you play the game, the first thing you're going to do is, well, you determine who the first player is, just however you're going to do that. Roll some dice, Rochambeau, whatever. Do it in any whatever manner you wish. And the one great thing about the first round is you don't have anything bad happen to you. There aren't any catastrophes at this point. And so what happens is that the first player will take these pieces. They'll be cardboard, and and they take 3 of these, and they turn them over, and these tell us what they can build, and they're going to hand these out to the other players. And so here we have these 3 slips of paper, and these are houses, house, and then this tells you that you can build an oven. This tells you that you can build a shrine, and this tells you can build a house, and then you can build either another house. This is kind of like the wild, a pen shrine, or you can build what's called a pen, which is like one of the things that you're scored upon as far as the game goes. So you hand these out to the other players, and so let's say red goes first, and they got a house, and an oven, and so they'll find a spot on the board, and they'll place a house like so, and they'll place another house, and they'll play an oven. And you can pick which house you want the oven to be in, and it doesn't, so you just go ahead and do that. Now, there's something really important that should be noted. During this game, you'll be building houses upon houses, so you're kind of like building stories of houses. Once you build an oven or a shrine, you can't build it up anymore. Now you might be saying, well, why do I care about building a higher house? Well, in the bigger games, you will actually score on like bigger houses and taller houses and things like that. And so this is the basic game that isn't as important. But there is a very important thing in the fact that if you're ever tied with somebody, when you're determining whether you score points, like say you're scoring a group of villages for ovens, and you're tied with somebody else, but if you have the higher house in that area, then you will you'll break the tie with that. So it's very important as far as the height goes. So anyway, so red goes, and then they put that down, and green goes, and they have house, and a shrine, and so they're going to go off and do their thing over here, and they're just going to pick a spot. They're going to go house, and take a shrine, which is just this little piece of paper here. And we'll go ahead. And like I said, these will be actually like wooden pieces that you'll place on the board. So I understand if it's getting kind of lost for you, but when the final game, it'll look much different than this. And so then blue goes, and that was first player. Or I shouldn't say that was first player, because maybe they just gave this to somebody to like negotiation, but I'm just putting these in order here. Blue goes, and they're going to build 3 houses. Now, the interesting thing is blue's going to do is they're actually going to build their houses next to red. Now, what this does is, see, this is a family. That's a family, because when like-colored houses next to each other, it's a family. So this is a family, and this is a family. But this now is a block of houses. This is kind of like they're together. If you want to go thematically, they've started to build things together so they can work with each other to like survive and what have you. But more importantly is that you have to actually have more than one player together in a block of families in order to actually be able to score points. And so whereas green is off here doing their thing and they're okay, they're not going to be able to score points in this round. So that probably wasn't the wisest thing for green to do, but maybe they have a plan or later on or what have you. And as this game progresses, the pieces of the board will start coming together, and these families that were once apart will start growing together pretty quickly, actually. So so we have this, and that's done. So now what we do is we then have a second build phase, and so we redraw the cards. We're going to see what we get here, and we're going to hand these out again. So you do this twice, and so we're going to go ahead and look. And well, here's the one that has the pen. So blue keeps that for themselves, and then well, they hand that one. The first player, I'm sorry, was red. So red's going to keep that for themselves, and then actually red's going to keep this one, the wild one, and then they'll hand off that one to green, that one to blue. So red goes, and red's like, well, you know what? I'm going to actually go over here and I'm going to build next to green because I want to score points with pens, because they're going to use their wild as a pen. And so when you take a pen, you have to take the open side, and I think that the finalized game is going to, the published game is going to have like an arrow on these, and you take an open side and you put it towards an opening like that. So this is red, so you can tell because it's open to the red side. Now, just one quick thing about pens. Pens actually do make things a little bit difficult when building, because of the fact that a pen can't you can't totally enclose a pen. So you couldn't build houses all the way around it. Like, you know, for whatever reason, you couldn't close it up. Meaning, because the animals have to be able to like leave and meander and do their thing. So you can't totally close out a pen and keep anything. So it does make it so it constricts building just a little bit. But anyway, that'll be what red does. And so green gets to build another shrine, and so green's going to go over here, and they're going to build a house, and build a house, and build a shrine, like so. And so now they've attached, and they've attached, and so now blue is going to look at and they realize they don't have a anything added to this one over here, but they do have the wild. So what they could do is they could take and later on maybe they'd be able to they can go house, and what they're going to do is they're going to take a pen and they're going to place that pen over here. So you don't have to attach them, you can build it wherever you like. And so now we have these two separate blocks of houses that are being built by these two different, by the three players that are playing the game. So we have completed our two construction phases, and so we move now on to the aspect round. But just so I can show you what a catastrophe round would look like, I'm just going to kind of show you. So normally if this wasn't the first round of the game, there'd be a catastrophe. And there's this little evil guy over there, and he's telling you these are the catastrophes. And so you draw a catastrophe card, and it tells you what happened. And so this one says earthquake. In the largest block, all residents must dismantle half of their houses, and only count houses without including pens and dismantled houses. So houses that are already broken down don't count. And if several blocks are equal, all of them are hit. And so you count the houses. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this house is larger. So they're affected by the earthquake. And so now if we were doing this, all the largest block, half of their houses, and you do, and you notice it says you round up. Ugh, that's tough. So the one that's really going to get hammered is blue. Blue's going to lose 2 of their houses in this, if we had done this. And so what would happen is you would replace, like blue would have to lose 2, and then green would have to lose 1. And it should be mentioned that if you cover up a house that has like an oven built into it or a shrine built into it, you would lose that shrine and that oven as well. Pretty obvious, right? Also, if you lose a house that has a pen attached to it, the pen is destroyed as well. So green's not going to pick that one. They're going to pick that one, and they would go like this, and they pick this one. Now, you notice that, like, there's nothing really, there's these 4 destroyed houses over here. And you think, oh, okay, well, these things are separate. No, because the houses actually, the destroyed houses still make this a block. So, you know, they're still connected, and this would still count when we're going to draw our aspect cards for our scoring coming up. So, if that had happened, we would still look at these as one large block because they're still attached to each other. So I'm going to take these off real quick here, and whoop, and I'm going to go ahead and show like what the normal scoring would be without the destroyed houses, like so. So when you're drawing the aspect cards, what you will do is there are 3 in this basic game. There's more over here, but we're doing the basic game right here. We're going to look for ovens, shrines, and pens in each block of what's built. And whoever has the most of those gets those aspect cards. So over here we have blue and red and green. And blue hasn't built any ovens, shrines, or pens, so they don't get anything. So if we were scoring, and actually since there's no ovens built over here, we're not even going to score ovens. So nobody's going to get an aspect card for ovens. But over here we do have a shrine, and so green would get an aspect card for shrines, and for pens, red would get an aspect card for that. Now, you might be wondering what these cards have. Well, let me just score this one really quick and just so you can see how this works over here. Oh, and this wrecked house shouldn't be here either. I do apologize. So we have this area over here. Blue, as you can see, has a pen, and so they're going to get a pen aspect, and so they'll finally get a card. Green will get a shrine aspect because they have the shrine, and red gets the oven. So when you look at these cards, so here we have red's cards, and they have bone tools and the clay balls. So, and the important things to note on every card, the stuff in here doesn't really matter. It's just it's just dressing. But what the important thing here is this markup here. So this is, as you can tell, a clay oven, and this is a pen. Now, during construction, you have the option of using these cards to turn them in to build an extra one of these if you want. So you could just turn it in, it's like, I'm going to build an extra pen. Now, the other important thing to note down here is this. These are the different sets that you have. Like, as far as if you have 1 card of this and you were turning it in, you would get 1. If you had 2, you get 3, 5, and so forth, up to 5, and you get to be able to score those points. This is the main way how you score the points. At the end of the game, when the end game happens, you do total up number of houses and stuff, and so you can tell, you know, how many different cards that you, how many add extra bonus points as well. But this is the main way you score points. And you can, but there's a catch. You might have, let me just see, let me grab a couple of these cards here. Like, let's say you have these 2 cards, let's say, and you want to turn them in. 2 is worth 3 points, right? Well, the thing is, actually here, let's just do it even more, better. So let's say somehow, like blue or any of the players in this game got all 3 of these cards, and they wanted to turn them in for points. Because three cards would be worth 5, right? I mean, it'd be pretty cool to be able to build all these pens, but whatever. You have to have 3 separate families, however, on the board. So, like, you know, like this is a family and this is a family. Like, as far as separated, if those were together, it'd be one giant family of one color. You'd have to have 3 separate families to be able to turn in 3 cards for those points. So the game kind of makes you diversify in order to cash in for the big points to be able to win the game. And so these cards, that's what you do with these cards. You can hold on to these for as long as you like, you know, and just try to wait out until the perfect point to strike. But I mean, a lot of times, like if you're not turning these in for the extra buildings, you're not going to be big. You're not going to control a large portion of the area of the board, and you're definitely going to be behind the other players. You're not going to get any more of these cards, basically, because of the fact that you're not building enough stuff to have the majority and be able to get the cards. Now, remember what I said. Remember, if, like, just for sake of an argument, let's say, like when we scored this one, red had a pen as well. And so we'd have blue has a pen and red has a pen. Well, they both have one, right? And so it's even. So, neither person would get. But if red had built a second house, they would have, and they have this pen, then they'd have the higher house and they'd beat the majority. So that's another, that's where like the building the house actually determines with scoring during the aspect phase. So, and after everybody gets their cards, that will bring the aspect phase to an end. There is one final wrinkle at the end of the aspect phase, that when you wrap up, like the end of round, any cards that were spent, for construction or for scoring points, the player that discarded them has to discard them to the bottom of one of these three decks, either ovens, pens, or shrines. And they have to discard all of their cards to that deck. So this is where you can start thinking, well, you can start, I'm like the pen master or whatever. I've got a lot of pens. So you can start putting like all of your cards that you discard into pens. And so then that's going to detract from the other two decks. This is a very sneaky way for players to kind of force the game to be played in a way that they want it to be played. Because, or forcing other people to abandon certain strategies they may be doing as far as their shrines, if there's not any cards or anything underneath there to like help them. It also teaches players that they shouldn't just specifically say, I'm just going to build lots of ovens or whatever. Because the other players will seize upon that, and they might be starting to place the other cards into the other decks, and so they wouldn't be able to really draw, because if there's no aspect cards available, you can't draw any. And so that's a really important part of the game, and also a very important decision that you have to make after you spend your cards to put them in those decks. And then at the end of whoever was the first player has to pick somebody else to be the first player the next round. You can never be the first player 2 rounds in a row. But and then so game continues like that. You play each round. You score the points. You build out your villages, build out your families, build out your blocks, and at the end of the game is when the last person plays the last of their 25 houses on the board. And you can modify that number however you want. If you want to be a shorter game, you could say it's 15 houses or what have you. But as soon as one person plays their last house during construction, that'll be the last round of the game. And after the end of round, you will wrap up the game, score some bonus points, depending on like who's got the largest, families and different blocks and things like that. And then you score total up to the total number of points, and then you determine who won the game of Hoyuk. So. All right. Well, there you go. That's how you play the game. It's a lot of fun. It's really, really fun watching the cities kind of merge together and things like that. It's really fun to watch people like trying not to have these things merge together because you don't want maybe like that'll maybe like will make it so you can't score points. So like if you have the majority of shrines over here, but if they're able to connect things together, you lose that majority, things like that. And so it's a lot of fun to watch the different players, kind of invoke their strategies and try to maximize their points each turn. And so yeah, but let me go more into exactly what I think about the game with my conclusion. We'll do that right now. Well, I hope that was clear. The game is not supremely difficult. It's definitely one of those games that I consider to be fairly simple but deep because of the fact that okay, let's put it this way. If you've ever watched any reviews before, there are some board games that rely on, like I'm talking Euro designer games right now, not Ameritrashy type stuff. But like there are some board games that rely on fairly involved like layer upon layer rules for them to do what they're doing. I mean, games like Dominant Species would be one. That's an area control game that has that layer upon layer. Something along those lines. Even to some degree Urban Sprawl, like a game that this kind of reminded me of in really weird, sort of vague, on the periphery type of way. Same deal. You just lots of rules upon rules, and then that reward you with a very enriching game experience. And then there's games like this that actually have pretty straightforward, hey, these are like the 4 rules you got to worry about, but then you get to play. And what the game becomes fun, the moment is the interaction and the interplay between you and the other players, and that's pretty much with any area control game. You're going to run into that situation. You know, I was thinking about this. I try to think of like, what did this game remind me of? Other games that I've played. And this actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Sunrise City, a game that I reviewed quite a while ago, actually. A game of stacking and of city building. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm not saying this game is like that or like Urban Sprawl or anything like that. It's just whenever I play a game, I usually end up thinking, wow, this kind of reminds me of this or kind of reminds me of that. So there you go. What did I like about the game? Well, I mean, I like the catastrophes, obviously. I really like games that allow you to build something and then the game destroys you. I always enjoy that portion of the game. I mean, and there's some games that use it to kind of a fairly comedic effect, if you will, like Galaxy Trucker comes to mind. But what I liked about this one is that you were never really sure what bad stuff was going to happen, but the game kind of made you teaches you how to roll with the punches and teaches you how to, for lack of a better term, teaches you to be resilient, if you will, and so it also teaches you to the thing about this game is that it teaches you, one, you have to kind of be with other people because you can't possibly score any points unless you are all in the same kind of block, if you will. That's a really distinct thing too. You have to like really make sure you understand the difference between the families and the block, you know, and so like, but you have to be with other people in order to score. But then you have to also make sure that you're better than the other people in order to score points, which is kind of a neat thing too as well, because it kind of is indicative of like when you live on a block on your street and you're always trying to have like the better yard, or you're always trying to have like the nicer car in the driveway and things like that. And so it does kind of have a tie-in, I guess, in a way, to like not a non prehistory time period, if you will. You know, I mean, the game itself, it looks really nice. I really am looking forward to seeing how the game is going to look after it is published. Because, I mean, even though the stuff that I have is very playable and very works very well, I'm interested to see with when you know you get the thick cardboard pieces, and when you get the different meeples that'll represent you know the shrines and the ovens and so forth. I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks. But I think like the best part about the game is really like that interplay that I was talking about earlier. Like you have to have be a part of a society, but you also have to make sure that you're better than everybody else in that society. And in a lot of ways, sometimes it's like if you're going to join up with someone and like be in that group, there's that moment where you're trying to determine whether or not you can be better, because you don't want to join into a city block, you know, or like a prehistory block of huts, when all you're going to be doing is just handing points to the other player. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to choose your battles and make sure that you're picking situations on the board that play to your strengths. I really like how the aspect cards work. I mean, because you either collect them for points, which is a great decision that you have to make. I mean, you know, okay, I'm collecting these for points, but sometimes you have to turn them in so you can build more stuff. I mean, because you can't, if you don't have enough things on the board, then you can't score points, but you can't score points if you don't turn in your card. So there's some agonizingly tough decisions going on, and I love games that give me tough decisions. I like the fact that the game is timed by the players. You play until you're out of houses, and so if you think that you're winning, you can start trying to slap your houses down as fast as possible so you can spur the game to the end of the game. I like that part, and I like the whole checking out and seeing how close everybody is to getting to that point where the game can be finished. And I always enjoy that. I mean, there's something to be said for games that have timed rounds, and I don't mind that so much, but I really do like when the players are in charge of that. I do enjoy that portion. There's other things about the game that are really cool too. I mean, the fact that when you're determining what you can build with these cards, the first player gets to hand them out, and then after that round, the first player has to pick somebody else to be the first player, and so you have that neat moment where you might have an idea of who you want to give the first player to, but if you give them a card they can't use, they're going to try to give you a card that might stink. And so there's that weird social contract negotiation aspect as well. And also there's always the portion where, if somebody is in the lead, you don't want to give them that first player. You don't want to, so you want to pick somebody that, and that makes them, you'll put them like kind of behind the fence, make them go last kind of thing, and so there's that fun little choice as well. I mean, all in all, I mean, like I said, the game just has all these cool little choices, all these cool little things that work together, and all the scoring and everything like that. And especially later on in the game, when you're getting closer to the game wrapping up, it has a wonderful agonizing moments as you're trying to maximize your points. And so if you have people that like are really bothered by analysis paralysis in these games, you might have some issues as far as that concerns. But I never really mind the whole analysis paralysis thing. I just kind of let people choose. I mean, I'm there to play games with my friends, and if it takes them 5 minutes to figure out what they're going to do that turn, that takes them 5 minutes to figure out what they're going to do that turn. And I leave them be, if you will, because theoretically I have more people at the table that I can interact with, and then we can make fun of that person that's taking forever at the same time, and we can enjoy ourselves that way as well. So there you go. As always, when I wrap these things up, I try to say what this game will be good for you if you like X. If you enjoy area control games, if you like I said, simple rules but deep gameplay, if you are a fan of like set collecting and things like that, and also like that, having to make some really tough choices. I mean, it does get a little mathy, eventually, I mean, with the, figuring out how many you have, and how high, if you're tied, how high your buildings are and things like that. Not too mathy, but it is there. And also, if you don't mind having a little bit of chaos because of the random catastrophes that happen, those are always both really fun and can be really agonizing if it seems like you're getting picked on a lot. And so there you go. Okay, well, if you have any questions or concerns, by all means, I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability if you ask them of me. And I guess there you go. I'm sure that the designer and the publisher of the game will be more than happy to answer those as well if you want to do. I strongly suggest, if you want to see how the finished game is going to look, go ahead and check out the webpage at Board Game Geek for Hoyuk. You can see it there. You can go to Mage Company, their website, and you can see what they have there. And of course, you can go to the Kickstarter page and you can see everything there as well. So, well, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, as I always do. Without you watching what I do, I wouldn't do what I do. So, well, until next time, this is Undead Viking. Thank you again, and you have an awesome day. Bye-bye now.